Injury announcements. First of all, at quarterback, Jeff was able to practice last night, so we'll go through the week with him, see what his status is in the game. Just full disclosure, I won't make any comments until game time, just for competitive reasons, obviously. But we'll try to get all three quarterbacks ready to play this week. In injury news, we had some guys seasons end early, unfortunately, on Saturday. Ramir Johnson will have surgery for dislocated his shoulder and serious enough that he'll miss the year. Gabe Irvin dislocated his hip and will have surgery on his hip, so he'll be done for the year. And Dwight Boodle hurt his shoulder in the game and will have to have surgery, so he'll be done for the year. So the football impact aside, especially for Ramir, who's a senior, I can just tell you it's heartbreaking on this end. Just an unbelievable young man, and just a leader. So Gabe has done a great job for us. Excellent leader, excellent teammate. So my heart really hurts for those two guys. Dwight, as a young player, had this shoulder before, so hopefully we can get him healthy. This could be one of the best things that happens to him. He's been playing a little bit, so he'll redshirt now and come back better than ever. But with that, obviously we're getting ready for an excellent Louisiana Tech team, a team that was down 17 and came back and tied the game and lost a heartbreaker. They're 2-2. Sonny Cumbie's an excellent coach. Smoke Harris, one of the best players in college football, and it should be an exciting game. So with that, I'll see what questions you have.
So after Anthony Grant, who do you really lean on at running back to kind of step up and kind of move into a higher role this week?
Yeah, Emmett he's ready to play. Emmett will play. Quinn Ives, it's funny, before the game, I walked around the field with Quinn Ives and just said, hey, this is what I think you're going to be someday. I don't know when your time's going to come, but you need to keep getting ready for it. I didn't know it was going to be 24 hours later, but Quentin's going to have to step up and play as well. And then from there, we'll have to see anybody else, but those will be the first three tailbacks into the game this week.
What does Emmett bring to the table? You've kind of been practicing more with him. I know your impression of Quentin was he's really twitchy, he can be a great athlete. How much more physical development does he have to do to make you feel really good about your playing?
Emmett, or you're saying
both.
Okay, yeah,
What are your thoughts on both?
Yeah, I think Emmett's been like in Ramir's backup as like that third down back, catch the ball out of the backfield, excellent change of direction. I think the thing about Emmett is he's really smart, highly competitive. We hear us sometimes say, "Oh, he's one of us." Like he's got that mindset, like whatever it takes. If I said to Emmett, "Hey, can you go over and play safety this game?" He'd say, "Yes, sir," and go over and find a way to do it. So I have full confidence in Emmett. He's just, it's a loaded backfield, with some older guys. He's just been waiting his turn. But he can run between the tackles. He can run outside. He can catch the ball, and he'll know all the protections. Quentin's a big, powerful. He's an I-back. He's kind of a downhill runner. So he doesn't know everything, because he's been reading off of a card. But he's been in all the meetings. There's a reason why we do what we do and practice the way we practice and meet, so that when these things happen, guys are ready. Ramir obviously was crushed, but he was out at practice last night, walking around, following him around, making sure he knew what he was doing. So all hands will be on deck.
How do you feel about Anthony? Obviously, he's got to be a big position now for you, and just what he's been through the first 3 weeks. What do you feel about him going forward?
Yeah, I don't think he's been through anything. There's a lot of people last week talked about, was he in the doghouse? If you're the tailback, you have to protect the ball. Simple. It's like if you're the tailback, you have to protect the ball. He's worked on it. That's my biggest thing with Anthony. Like, we all have weaknesses, you know what I'm saying, or things that we're not doing well. And our program is built on correcting those things. And so after last game, after the Colorado game, I told Anthony, I said, hey, if you have a great week, you're going to play this week. And Anthony had a great week. And so, I don't play guys because of what they did last year. Like, that's not me. Like, it's not fantasy football. I play guys based upon what they do at practice. And that's how you develop players. That's how a guy like Heinrich is ready for his moment. Anthony had a great week of practice. You can see his natural ability in the games. He's it's his show now. It's time for him to go. It was his show last year, so it's his show now. But at the same time, hopefully he developed and improved his ball security. It was the issue last year in the Illinois game. It was an issue in the Minnesota game. And my job is to take players and show them what they're not doing well so that they improve those things. Hopefully Anthony's improved that. because when he's right, and he's really good. And so I think he'll be a dynamic playmaker for us on offense, and he's going to step up.
When it comes to managing quarterbacks in season like this, what experiences in your career do you lean back on?
I had a lot of them in Carolina. A lot of different changes in Carolina. I at Temple I put P.J. Walker in the fifth game of the year, I think it was his freshman year, and he never came out. Charlie Brewer, I put him in the fourth or fifth game of his freshman year at Baylor, and he never came out. So I didn't have a lot of it in college. And those were my quarterbacks, and those were my guys. They knew what to expect. Obviously, in the NFL, you had some changes, some different guys. I think the biggest thing at quarterback is, we're always going to play the guys we think that give us the best chance to win. That doesn't mean everybody doesn't give us a good chance to win. You don't want guys feeling like you have a quick trigger on them, like you're pulling them too quickly, right? So, because they need to settle down and play. I think what happened in the last game is that when we had the turnover at the 5-yard line and the defense took the field and stopped them the way they did, and I think Heinrich knew he could go cut loose and play because the defense had his back. That was the team type of environment that I've been talking about forever. That's team football, it's so funny. Like Reimer, like I said to Reimer in the middle of the game, the third quarter, I said, it's 14-3 at the time. Like, we're running the ball. We're chewing up clock. You guys got to keep playing defense. He's like, I love it. So they're understanding complementary football. It's not like we're not a spread offense and we're just trying to play together. So anyway, the quarterback position, I think I want them to know that they can go play when it's their time to play.
I know sometimes when you go back and watch the film, you pick up some things you didn't from the sideline. Well, what jumped out to you? What were some bullet points that you liked when watching it back?
Well, first of all, I'll say this. I think Northern Illinois is a really good football team. And I think their D-line is explosive. And I liked the way some guys stepped up, like Lindenmeyer and Liebenbritt come in that 22 personnel package at the end of the game, and we're running outside zone. And that's kind of their role. They don't have many other roles in that game plan for that game. And they stepped up and they made those blocks. So Anthony gets the long run, and everyone's like, "Hey, great!" But it was like Liebenbritt, like he sees some color, the guy runs through and he cleans up the color, and then the tackle comes back on it. He snaps back out and blocks the safety. He looked like it was an unbelievable play by the fullback. Piper on that play blocks like 3 guys. So I like some of those things. I like the third 9 catch by Marcus Washington. Like, that's what we need, right? We need like guys inside leverage. We call a slant. You've got to go make it happen. I liked Fedoni's block on Billy Kemp's touchdown. Like, recognized it was man-to-man and instead of blocking the guy over and blocked the guy that was running over the top. A lot of little things like that I liked. And then on defense, some guys played that haven't played a ton, like A.J. Rollins, and I liked the juice and the energy that they played with. We played a lot of guys in the secondary. And then I thought special teams, I thought Tommy Hill on the opening kickoff runs down and knocks a guy over. And then we end the game with Roman Mangini, Lubin runs the ball. Roman Mangini goes in and cracks the safety and knocks him out of the screen. So I thought we were physical. Coach Osborne talks about 1.5 knockdowns per play, and Ron Brown counts those for me. And this is the first game we were over 100. And it used to be you could cut. There was a lot more knockdowns, but we got a lot of them by we were just a little bit more physical on offense versus a physical team.
Phelan Sanford, coach, had a really impressive game in special teams. Did that impress you, and do you see him getting more reps defensively maybe?
I think Phelan's role on defense is what it is. Like, he rotates in, and we have a lot of trust in him, faith in him. He's the next guy in. So, I think he played 10 plays the game before. I'm not sure how many it was this game, but that's kind of, hey, he's, if we need him to start, he can go start. He's an excellent, excellent special teams player. I mean, I'm talking about he's doing like high-level things. Like, I think I hope he'll continue to play this way, and someone will give him a shot, to go do those things, because he's a 4.3 guy. He's really fast. And that was a huge play in the game. Sometimes when we just watch it offensively, but the first drive of the game, we go 3 and out. We force a bad punt. Ball's to the 45-yard line. We go down and score. That drive, the offense gets a couple first downs. They punt the ball down to the 2-yard line. Defense goes 3 and out. We get the ball at the 40-yard line. We go score. So that was a huge play by Phelan, and he's doing it on every team. So I don't know what will happen on defense, because obviously we have 3 safeties back there that we really trust and play a lot of football. But Phelan's like 3.5, right? We're ready to put him in at any time.
Broadly speaking, how do you feel like your special teams have played through the quarter pole of the season?
Yeah, it's good and bad. Okay, I mean, I think there's a lot of really positive things, and it looks the way I want it to look. It looks well coached. Obviously we've missed a field goal, we've kicked the ball out of bounds, like so some things like that that have to get corrected. We went out last night, like just anything as simple as versus a bad punt. The guy's hearing poison and running off the field. We've had some really close misses on our punt return team. Had an explosive kickoff return early on, so we haven't necessarily had enough of the wow plays yet for me that I'd like to see. But what we do have is like a really solid. I thought we had some solid stuff. We have to continue to get better in the actually kicking the ball game. With Tristan's going to be unbelievable. He's a young kicker. I love his demeanor. Ball goes out of bounds, he comes right back. So I think there's been some good things. Buschini bounced back from the previous week. So what I would like to see, though, Sam, is I'd like to see. We have some guys that are difference makers. The culture's still a little bit like, well, I want to play on defense and special teams and when we've won, our best players have made plays on special teams, so I'd like to see some more dynamic plays as we move forward. We're going to need those. We're going to be in these tight ball games, and we're counting on the special teams to not play as the special teams, but to play as 1/3 of the game. And to win some of the games we want to win, you got to block a punt. You got to. And these guys are dynamic this week. They're gonna, we're gonna have to play really well up front on special teams.
I think you mentioned Lenhart got game after the game. How's he doing?
Yeah, I would expect him to have a chance to practice tomorrow. Just a gruesome play. I mean, he's lucky. He's lucky. I mean, he got hit right in the back of the leg. It looked like a devastating injury and bounced up with a kind of an ankle sprain. So those ankles, I never know. Sometimes like they say they're going to practice on Tuesday, and all of a sudden it's 2 weeks later. Sometimes they say it's Tuesday and they're out there on Tuesday. So I'm expecting if Cam can go, he'll go, right? I'm expecting Cam to go. Blaze shoulder acted up on him, and he came out early in the game. So we played. We had a chance to get some other guys in the game, which was really, really good for us.
What does stand out about Tech on your first look at them?
Well, they're explosive, okay, and they're opposite of us in that they're going to drop back and throw it. They're going to spin it. They'll play with tempo. They'll run it too, and they're going to RPO you. They're going to get the ball in Smoke Harris's hands. He's, like I said, he's one of the more dynamic players you'll see. So they're never out of a game. And the quarterback got hurt. They put the second quarterback in, and he brought a running element to the game as well. So offensively, they'll present a lot of challenges to us, their offense. And then defensively, blitzing us and playing man has kind of been what people have done. I thought we had some better answers the other night in terms of running the quarterback and some of those things. But, that's what they do. They're going to bring pressure. They're going to play man. They're going to challenge you. They're going to move. They're going to try to disrupt you. So, to me, it's another game where we just have to understand the formula we're trying to win with. We're going to try to, establish ourselves, throw body blows, play the game, win the game in the fourth quarter. Our guys can't start listening to the noise of like, boy, there's a lot of punts, or boy, like just keep flipping the field, like play Big Ten football, and that's what we're trying to get done. So this will be a team that can challenge all that with the pressure, and we have to play smart football versus this team.
Obviously, the defense is playing well. Where do you want them to go now? What can be better?
A lot can be better. A lot can be better. Just like after the loss when I said, hey, we're so close. Like, Javen jumps up and he almost hits the ball on the long pass against Colorado on third down. Those same plays are still there. We just happen to win the game. And so sometimes when you win the game, you don't pay attention. When you lose a game, you're like, look. Well, when you win the game, you have a tendency to be like, hey, let's get to the next opponent. No, they're all still there. All those plays are still there. Still, the fullback in the flat out leverages Omar, and he runs and makes a tackle, or we get out leveraged, or we get beat on a double move and we just get pressure. But they're still there, and so we have to just coach. And that's what I like about Tony, and I like about Coop and all them. They're not result based. They're process based. They're not outcome based. They're process based. The film is the film. The score went in our favor, but the film is the film. More macro, what I will say is I think we have to be better with a 4-man rush. Everything can't be pressure. When I say better, people are like sink setting on us, and they're vertical setting, and they're afraid of the blitz packages. And they came out and ran the first third down of the game. Tony said that to me in the pregame. He goes, I bet you they'll come out and they'll run the ball early on third down. And he played cover 2, and we stopped it. But some of our base 4-man rush with zone coverages, I want to see us improve in those, because we're going to have to be better at that. We're Tampa 2, we're letting number 2 catch the ball way too much. So some of the 4-man rush and going into this game, it was third down. I challenged our defense about third down because we were giving up almost 50% going into the first 2 weeks, and it was way better this week. So, and then we're not taking the ball away enough. We got one. We have 3 in 3 games. Two of them happened in the last drive of the game. That doesn't really even count to me. Early in the game, we got to go knock a ball out. As hard as we're hitting people, we got to start punching the ball out. So a lot of things to work on, and that's why I like our defense, because Giff and all those guys, they're not sitting there like, Coach, come on, man, we just beat these guys this. They're like, we got to get the ball out. So that's why we have a chance to be good.
We saw Teddy get some action as that extra offensive line. What did you see from him?
I thought Teddy did a good job. I think you could see Teddy, he's getting closer and closer. Turner's a good player. He's a good player. My challenge to our coaches every week is don't do it based upon, hey, the last 4 months, but like, hey, let's look at this week and say, who played better last week. As a coach, what happens to you is you've seen these guys for so long, right? But you have to. They're growing. They're making. A lot of these guys are accelerating right now because they've played in some games. There's a lot of guys playing who haven't played in games. So Teddy, as well as many other players, I'm challenging our coaches, like, go out to practice. Whoever gives us the best chance to win, let's play. As Teddy gets his legs underneath him, and I think that's true for a lot of positions.
Do you notice, you talked about doubling down on the process last week, but do you notice maybe an extra pep in the step, knowing that the guys got results and got a win, rather than
100%. Yeah, 100%. As much as like I'd love to be stoic and be like that, the results shouldn't matter. Obviously, they want to win, and they were happy that they won. I was happy we won. Of course they're happy, right? I just appreciate the fact that a lot of them have belief before they won, right? Like Buford and I are walking on the field before the game, and I'm just talking to him, right? Like I'm getting him ready for when it's his time. Like it just, and he's like, Coach, I 100% believe in the process. I understand what we have to do, and so I just, it's good for them to get that. It's good for them to get that win, and it's also good for them to not forget the first 2 games and what they learned. Because championship teams come out of teams that learn hard lessons. And so you have to learn, hey, this is what it feels like to lose. This is what it feels like to win. The margin is like this for us. So we've got to just keep erring and making the margin a little bit bigger each week by getting better.
Broadly speaking, from the time that the recruits are on the field, a couple hours before the game, until you walk off there at the end, what was the experience like for you at Memorial Stadium those 5-6 hours?
It was unlike anything I've ever been a part of. I've gone into those. My mom's gonna yell at me for saying so much. I've gone into those environments before as a coach and been like, I've never coached in an environment where you have. I don't know if there's another place in the country where there's people are all in the stands that early to watch the warm-ups. Like I'm used to kind of a lot of times you'll see me. I'll defer so we get the ball on the road to start the second half because there's no one in the crowd, and our fans are all in the stands at halftime. So it was unbelievable. As I said, Isaac Gifford and Reimer, Gifford said to me right before the game, as they're kind of waiting for when we do our specials, we do the punt that go in. He said, no matter what, Coach, this will never get old. And, not only for the recruits, but some of them are young players that are redshirting that are going to be unbelievable players. I just reminded them, I'm like, hey, this is all going to be yours someday. You need to make sure that when it's your time that you're going to – this is a lot of responsibility. You're going to need to make sure you're ready for when it's your time to play. I said, Ives is one of those guys I said that to, not knowing that it was going to be the next day. But I thought it was an amazing experience. I thought it was a tremendous crowd, and I thought it was great for recruiting, obviously, but it was great for our players and hopefully great for the fans, and hopefully they liked the way we played.
What have you noticed about the chemistry that you saw or have seen even in practice with Heinrich and some of the guys that he's been here with now in their third season who haven't been on the field until this year, like Alex Wallace and Thomas Fedoni?
Yeah, I think he definitely has a connection with Fedoni. I think all young quarterbacks. I think everyone wants a big tight end, right? I'm sure Patrick Mahomes loves having Kelsey out there. Like you love having a big target you can see, right? So when you're not sure, you just throw it to them and they go get it. But I think Heinrich's respected by his teammates. He's a guy that he battled all last year as a scout team quarterback. I don't even know if he was in meetings last year. He was walking around. So I'm sure in those moments when you're going through that adversity and you're not complaining, guys gain respect for you. So it's one of our messages to our guys all the time. Like I just talked about championship teams, like going through adversity is good. So often we don't want our kids, our own children, to go through adversity going through adversity is good because A, you learn a lot, and B, people learn about you. So I think when Heinrich had his opportunity to go play, when that ball got fumbled on the ground, his fault or not, I think the defense went out there and was like, let's show him that we got his back, and I think the defense did that, and it let him take the pressure off. So I think the guys respect him.
What did you see in Heinrich when you first came here in December? I mean, there's 3 other quarterbacks that have left since him. What did you see in him to kind of say, hey, stick it out here? We see some things because the previous staff wasn't traveling him last year, and he really wasn't a part of the plan here.
Yeah, I'll never say to anybody stay here. My whole thing is I'm not going to beg anyone to stay. But I do want to give them a vision of what I see, okay? And I think that's really important. So, like, when Jamari went in the portal, I called him, like, get in here. What are you doing? Yeah, we think you're a good player. Just such a hard time, right? I remember, like it was yesterday, what we did was we made cut-ups of all the players playing in games, but also we made practice cut-ups of everybody, right? So we watched everybody. And we studied them. And so we were like, man, this guy's got a great release. He's athletic. And everyone's like, yeah, he'll be a great tight end. He'll be a great fullback. He'll be a great this, right? So I remember it at the time, the offensive staff room, quarterback meeting room was part of my office. Sad has since stolen it. But he walked by. I said, hey, Heinrich, let me talk to you for a second. I said, everybody says you should go play tight end. You should go play fullback. I could kind of see the look of disgust on his face, And I said, but I think you should play quarterback. I think you should try to play quarterback and see what happens. And if at some point I don't think you can play quarterback, I'm going to tell you, you know what, you should play something else. And then you can make a decision if you want to leave or stay here. I said, but you should take your shot at this thing. And then I brought Sad in, and I said, Sad, what do you think about this guy? And he said the same thing to him. And I just think from that day on, Heinrich's been like, okay. And, there was times in camp in the spring where he was maybe third or fourth. But he's gotten better and better and better. And, again, that's our job. Our job's not to write guys off. It's to get them better. So, but the credit to me goes to him and his family.
Matt, you talked a lot about the resilience of this group in recent weeks. You lose a receiver after week 1, you lose 2 running backs now. What's your level of confidence down the depth chart in that resilience, particularly on offense?
Yeah, it's next man up. If you go to summer workouts and summer and 7-on-7s, they're throwing the ball to Xavier. They're throwing the ball to Isaiah. They're throwing the ball to Ramir. It's a whole different set of guys. And so, we're asking guys to do a lot. Even the first play the other day, right? Like Billy catches the punt and then comes off the field and he forgets to go back on because, we're asking a lot of guys to, they're having to do double time, right? Hey, I need you to be the F in this, but the Y in this. And it's not planned. It's just kind of moving on. What's going to happen now is you have some young players. It's their time. And whereas a lot of them have been trying to figure out, hey, am I ready? I've just told them, hey, guess what? You're ready. So, I have confidence in them. I don't put anybody out there I don't believe in. So, we have some guys. We've got Tommy Hill playing both ways a little bit. We got Billy playing multiple positions. We got Fleeks sitting over there. Fleeks could do anything he wants if he puts his mind to it. So I told him, I said, this week, hopefully he's going to put his mind to it. He had a good week of practice last week. Played some plays. He needs to play more. So, I just think we're having to adapt and morph. And, as much as it stinks, take the injury aside, as much as it stinks to go through those things, what it does is it gets your offensive coaches to have to really adapt and find out what guys can do. And then once you settle into things, whether it's later in the year or next year, whatever, you have an offense with guys that take advantage of their strengths. So you see Fedoni catching more balls. You see guys catching more balls. And, Thomas is a way different player now than he was 3-4 weeks ago, right? His legs are underneath him. He's hitting records on the GPS, like the whole process, Corey Campbell to training room to everything. It's all working for a lot of these guys.
Obviously, you want all these guys to be watching film all the time, right? But when you have young players that now all of a sudden been thrust into a role, how do you want them to kind of break down an opponent, watch film? Do you want them to watch it in the office? Are you okay with them watching it at home? Technology's changed, right? So it's kind of grown and changed, and I'm curious what your philosophy is on breaking down tape.
Yeah, if I had my druthers, 100% would prefer that they watch everything in the office with a Cowboy remote. That's the way to do it with a pen and pad. I can't get that done all the time, But again, being in the NFL, the things you learn, like Brian Burns would sit there for us, and he would lay on the training room table, and he'd use the normal. He'd be there till 8 o'clock at night when we were done at 5. He'd have an iPad in front of his face, and he'd be watching tape the entire time. So everybody's process is their own. With some of the young players, what I'm looking for from them is, hey, let the older players help you. Go in there with Billy. Go in there with Marcus. Go through the plays. It's a little bit different on defense because on offense you're looking maybe at who you're going against. On defense you're having to recognize, hey, here's the run concepts, here's those different things. So, but yeah, I just want them working at it. You are what you repeatedly do. So, I'd love for it to be in the building because there's synergy when guys are together. They talk, they communicate. I came down to the Minnesota game. Our starting defense was down there. About 6 or 7 of those guys that afternoon watching tape together, getting ready for the game. I was like, we're going to be good on defense. We're kind of on offense a little more. The O-line kind of does it. Pipe gets them together. Whoever gets them together, these guys, and because they're such different worlds, but they're starting to slowly figure out on offense how to work together.
Anything else, Coach? You mentioned Marquise Buford what's his timetable like?
In a perfect world, we would love to just keep. He started individual drills yesterday, so we'd love to. We're not going to rush him. If he doesn't play a snap all year, so be it. But we'd love to have him play the last 4 games of the year. Use his 4 games there in red shirt and play. Get that year back and really get his body healthy for the future. But we're not going to risk anything or rush it.
Matt, over here.
Sorry.
Wanted to ask you, this is a little bit off topic, but with Aaron Rodgers' injury last week, it started up the grass and turf debate again. And I kind of wanted to just ask, I know you've kind of talked about being in favor of natural grass as a playing surface. I just kind of, what is your general take on that?
Yeah, I think grass is safer than turf. I think it's anywhere from 10 to 18% safer. So now there's needs to play on turf. Turf's not bad. I just think grass, when you can, grass is better. Different environments are different. The usage is different, right? Grass that has multiple teams playing on it that gets ruined is not as good as turf then, right? So I think every place is a little different. But I remember when I was in Carolina, we went to turf. We were at turf field, and then I think it was like Manchester United came in, and they would only play on grass. So we put like a temporary grass field out there and played on grass for the soccer game, and then went back to turf for football. And I just think Manchester, soccer to me is always the epitome of sports science. If they only will play on grass, and maybe that's the way the ball rolls, then there's something to it. But injuries happen on everything. I don't ever like one thing to be the end-all, be-all, but I just think it's I'm a grass fan. That's why I made the practice fields grass, so that we can, have more reps on a softer surface. I think this gentleman.
I know you're really busy, but how much time do you get to spend with Coach Cook at all?
I don't have much time to spend with Coach Cook, unfortunately. I got a good chance. He and I went to the rodeo together. He took me to dinner. Came and talked to the team. He was right there on the sidelines on Saturday. Right when I was kind of walking down, he was right there next to me and texted me after the game. All of our coaches here, Coach Mann, I don't want to start name, but I hear from so many of them. And the great thing about our coaches here is I didn't hear from them just after the win. I heard from a lot of them after we lost, because you coaches hopefully can recognize the way you're trying to do something, and I appreciate them all very, very, very much. So, Coach Cook and all of them. So, all right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.